Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good evening for those who are in Asia. Good morning for those who are in New York and in America. My name is Sisa Salgado, and I am a dancer and an anthropologist. And today we are starting live series, and I will invite friends and other dancers to come here to join this live talk, and we are going to discuss about different topics, but especially we will focus on traditional art forms from Asia and also about our experience learning these art forms. So for those who don't know me, I am from Ecuador, and I have been studying different dances from Asia for the past 10 years. I left Ecuador in 2011, and after that I had the opportunity to study Indonesian dances in Bali, and from there on I moved to different countries in Asia. So welcome for those who are connecting right now. My guest is already here, so I will ask her to wait a little bit for more people to join this live talk, and then I will bring her into the room. So I will have some guests this month. This is an experiment, and the idea is to share the experiences of other foreigners who have studied dances in Asia. Today we are going to talk about Indian classical dance, and we are going to talk about the experience of Irena Mihalkovich from Belarus. So she's Indian classical dancer, and she right now is going to be connected from South India. Hi Verdi, nice to see you. There are friends that are connecting right now, and I met some of them in Indonesia, some of them in India, so welcome everyone. Hi Consuelo, hi Ngawang. So let's wait for a few more seconds before we start this live. So I will introduce my first guest this week, and her name is Irena Mihalkovich. Later she will tell me if I'm pronouncing her surname properly. So her name is Irena Mihalkovich, and Irena is a performing artist. She's a film director, writer, and she was born and raised in Belarus. She identifies herself as a highly sensitive person and an introvert. Since childhood, Irena has been writing stories and directing local theatrical performances despite her shyness. She got a degree in international relations. However, her life took a different course when she went to India. She has been studying Indian classical dances. She finished a 5 years course in Kerala Kalamandalam. Kerala Kalamandalam, for those who don't know, is a very important university in India where students go to learn different types of classical dances and theater. So Irena went there and she did a 5 years course, and she finished that, and then after that she has been working with these projects, but then she will tell us more about her career. So welcome everyone. We are here with my first guest. Irena, if you are here, could you send me request and then I can bring you in. So this is part of the live talks organized by Sisa Salgado and the Dance Road project. My project of dances is a research. I have been doing research for the past 10 years. I have been traveling to different countries in Asia, learning traditional dances. And the goal for me is to learn from different cultures through the dance and to bring some of this learning process, some of this knowledge to my country, Ecuador. I am from Ecuador, and right now I am based in New York. So Irena, you have to maybe send me a request and then I can bring you in the room. I will have a very special guest today, and her name is Irina, and she's going to talk to us about her experience learning classical dances. And she's from Belarus, and she's one of the foreigners like me that had this call about Asian classical dances, and then she went to India, and she's going to share with us her experience. So let's wait a little bit more for her. Okay, I see the request. So let me welcome my first guest. And thank you everyone for connecting today. I hope you can write your questions in the comments, and then we will have time to respond, all of you. Hi Irina, namaste.
Hi, namaste. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Let me
Looking
move a little bit
beautiful.
back. Thank you. How are you?
How's the weather in New York?
It's kind of warm. Yeah, I'm not wearing too many clothings right now because it's really, really warm. We have,
Hot,
I
yeah.
don't know the degrees, but it's like the summer. We are in the middle of the summer.
Oh, we have a flood here,
Oh,
but in my, it's Kerala. It's tropical area with lots of monsoons, and
yeah.
so it's prone to floods in this type of months. So the situation is a little bit shaky. Like we spend days without electricity, but see, the gods are happy with us today, so we're able to talk. Because actually a couple of days ago, it was like almost 2 days nonstop without electricity. That was
Wow.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, Irina lives in Kerala. For those who are connecting right now, we are having a fun conversation with her. She's my guest today, and Kerala is like, you can maybe explain to us where Kerala is. Like, she's connecting from India right now, South India.
Yes, Kerala is in, let's say, the extreme south of India, because after Kerala, there is only Sri Lanka. So India finishes with Kerala, let's say. So it's a near equatorial state, and you can imagine the type of climate and the type of weather. So it's eternal summer and monsoon, nothing else. And of course, lots of coconut trees. And Kerala is very well known for, first of all, its hospitality, because Malayalis are very, very hospitable people. They're always happy to see you. They are always, guest is a god for them, which is universal for India, I would say. But in Kerala, you feel it the most. Like they really try to make you feel like home when you come to Kerala. And everyone, like as a foreigner, if anybody's here, I think people are joining from all over the world, right? So if you come to Kerala, you'll be meeting people, of course, on the go. And Malayalis are people who live in Kerala are called Malayalis because of the language that they speak, Malayalam. Malayalam, it's a very difficult language, tongue twister. And so most of the time when people see you, they're very curious. They want to talk to you. They want to practice English as well. So they approach you and they ask you different questions. Where are you from? How old are you? Like everything. And then like, do you like my Kerala? For them, it's really important to know that we approve their Kerala. Yeah. And of course, it's impossible not to love it. You agree with me, sister, right?
Yes.
You've been here.
It is a very beautiful place, and of course, the weather is very challenging sometimes when you study dances. In my case, because I grew up in the mountains, and adapting to the weather was one of the most complicated parts. But apart from that, it's a beautiful place. It's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. I'm also from a colder climate. I'm from Belarus, which is Eastern Europe. It's nearby Russia, so it's the same climate like Russia, let's say. So we have very strong winters, and summers, okay, like a couple of weeks we can have of the heat waves, but usually they're not long lasting. So actually, when at first I came to Kerala, like the humidity was actually more difficult than the heat. I felt like it's so humid.
Right.
And then the first day, I remember when I came to Kalamandalam and they gave me teacher, and the teacher wanted to see what I have already learned. And it was like she didn't stay with me, this teacher. She immediately switched to her PhD or something. But like she tested me and she said, okay, do a couple of adavus, which I did. And then she's like, okay, do alaripu. And in the middle of alaripu, I almost fainted just because like this kind of heat and still the change of climatic zones and the change of time and maybe sleepless nights as well. And of course, stress, you're in the new place. So that I remember, like my first impression probably was not the best. Like they're like, what? She learned a Laripu, she can't even tolerate basic stamina test.
Yeah. So for those who are connecting right now, I have a guest today. Her name is Irina, and she's connecting from
Hi.
India. And let's start from the beginning. Hi, we have a friend, Jovan from Bali. Hi, from
Wow.
oh yeah. So he's a musician. He plays gamelan, who is the
Oh,
traditional ensemble of instruments from Indonesia. And thank you guys for
amazing.
connecting. Hi everyone. So today we are going to have a talk about Indian dances and especially about the experiences that Irina had learning Indian classical dances. So let's start from the background that you have, Irina. You come from Belarus, from Europe. So could
Mm-hmm.
you share with us a little bit how was the beginning? Like what background do you have? Did you study dances in Belarus?
Well, actually, I did not learn any dances. And my story is very interesting this way because I'm kind of an exponent of somebody who did not have faith in herself and whose teachers didn't have faith in her. Dance teachers. I really like dancing. Since childhood, I remember we would be watching TV and they show ballet, Russian ballet on TV. And I was like, I'm going to be a ballerina. And I would wear some kind of tutu skirt and just do some really awkward movements. And of course, my parents would be laughing. And actually, once my parents made an attempt to bring me to some dance school, but just before the dance school, I was riding a bicycle and there was an accident. I ran into the fence and smashed my face. And I remember mom still took me to the dance class full of, like I was full of bruises and everything in this white dress, but face was like fully blue. And I just remember there were lots of kids and it was very chaotic and disorganized. And I was like so shy. I'm an introvert, actually. Now I learned kind of to be more extroverted when needed. This is a necessity of the modern world. But in general, I'm an introvert. I'm more comfortable in very intimate environments, like with a few people or just one-on-one talk or just being on my own. Even like I was fully fine on my own, but there's like lots of kids and I'm like, oh my gosh, like immediately become very, very self-conscious. So I guess it didn't work out. And then in the school, it was the same thing. We had some dance classes at school. It's obligatory from first to fourth class, but it's very basic. But still, you know, this kind of self-consciousness in the public was always interfering. And I would like not be able to coordinate even very simple moves. I was always feeling so embarrassed, and it was not helping that kids are usually making fun of you if you do something wrong. So, so then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not made for dancing. But I remember the first ever encouragement I did get for the dance. I think I was around 13, and I thought like, why wouldn't I go and try to learn contemporary dance? And I went to some studio, and in Belarus at that time, I will tell you the reality. At that time, it was a very post-Soviet time, and so all these things were for children, for teenagers, free of charge. You don't have to pay anything. You just go and study whatever you want, and the government takes care of that. So I would go to the contemporary dance class, and there were again lots of girls, and I think the teacher was planning some performance in the nearby. So she said, I'm going to make an audition for this performance already. And she said, okay, one by one you're going to stand in front of the mirror and just dance. Just imagine nobody's watching you and just dance. And I remember like when I went to the mirror and I just started dancing, I managed to switch away from my social anxiety and everything. And she was very impressed. She actually selected me to her performing troupe. But then in the process, my all my phobias kicked in again, so she kicked me out of there. So and after that, I kind of stopped attempting to dance, and then I also had quite difficult health situations. I had major spinal surgeries, and I didn't think actually I would dance at all. But then how my journey to India started, it started through yoga, let's say. Yoga was a part of a self-search, and in some of the difficult moments when I was very depressed and anxious and couldn't sleep, at that time yoga was not popular. Like now everybody practices yoga, which is really good. I'm happy that yoga, people are getting yoga brainwashed. It's a very positive kind of brainwash in my opinion. Yeah, it's better than being brainwashed about something more, lower vibration. But at that time, yoga was something, you know, if you tell people you practice yoga, they would think it's some kind of sect. But yeah, like that was my search as an answer to very difficult internal struggles, emotional struggles I was going through. And I joined one yoga class, and it was a very good teacher who taught us to work with consciousness, and whose approach to yoga was not acrobatic, but more of very, very basic asanas, but just finding yourself in this basic asanas. And I kept on practicing for about a year and a half, but then because of personal reasons, I had to leave that group. And I was thinking like, okay, what to do now? After that, I tried learning Kung Fu, and like all the time I was drawn to this Eastern side, probably like Sisa, the same, right? You get drawn to the Eastern side. And then I remembered that that yoga teacher once mentioned that he went to some temple dance, Indian temple dance school, and he tried dancing that. And he said, like, there's so many yoga asanas in the dance, and it's so difficult. He said, I thought I'm trained, I have like 20 years of yoga experience, but it was so hard for me. And I'm like, I remember that, and I just Googled it, and immediately I found the website. There was one Belarusian woman who studied by Icc Scholarship in Delhi, and after completing her studies, she came back and opened her school. The name of the school was Indivara, the Blue Lotus. And I remember I came there, and it was a very solemn kind of atmosphere. Everything was very, how to say, very serious and very spiritual. You know, the way she presented it was very, very spiritual. Like, she would not move us into dance before we learn all the shlokas, before we learn all the mudras. It was a very extended process. Now I'm thinking sometimes she extended it too much, but in general, it gave the feeling of importance of what we are learning. So we didn't take it lightly. And even though there were many desires to quit, because that was Bharatanatyam. Indian classical dance, especially Bharatanatyam, is a very difficult one. And sometimes some things don't work out, and you would just want to, you know, give up. Find something easier. Go for salsa, but not maybe for Asian lovers. Like, you could never trade, Indian art forms, Asian art forms for this kind of more entertainment-based art forms. I guess whatever we all are looking for when we go into this kind of art forms, we are looking for some kind of depth. We are looking for some kind of answers to spiritual philosophical questions. And that's how I came to Indian classical dance. And then after that, I kept on working. I got one more guru in Sweden, and she was a Kalakshetra teacher, and she was a big inspiration for me. Her name is Usha Balasundram, and she actually inspired me to apply for the ICCR scholarship, and I got it, and then I went to Kerala Kalamandalam to learn Bharatanatyam.
And so we had a comment from Eka from Indonesia. Hi, Eka. She's also a dancer. She's a contemporary dancer, but also she has been trained in classical Javanese dance if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So she told us that she commented, I don't know where the comment is, but she said that she wants to learn Indian classical dances or Indian dances in general, and she
Okay.
hopes she could do it. And what you just shared with us is important because for those who are interested in exploring Indian traditional forms, there is a scholarship that the Indian government offers to different countries, and it's called the Icc Scholarship.
ICCR. ICCR.
It stands as Indian Council for Cultural
Council
Relations.
on Cultural Relations. Yeah.
So, Eka, if you are interested, just check because Indonesia has the Indian embassy in Jakarta. And actually, the way I learned Indian classical dances, um, it was from Indonesia. I was living in Bali and I was learning Balinese dances. And then I went to the consular office of India in Indonesia in Bali. And I saw that they offer Indian classical dances and also yoga, Sanskrit, and I was very curious. Just I didn't have much idea of what is this world of classical dances, and then I went there. And the Indian government sometimes they offer free classes, sometimes through scholarships, and sometimes you just have to pay a little bit. But that's a good way to get into the art if you are interested, Eka. And Consuelo says, go for salsa.
No, nothing against salsa, but it's a different domain. It's a different domain. The kind of Western idea of dances that are aimed to entertain, to enjoy yourself, and this is totally cool. It's also very lovely, but I'm saying that there is a little bit different way, like Indian classical dances. Okay, now it's a new stream. I think many would agree with me. On YouTube, there is a new stream of approach to Indian classical dance emerging, where people are taking it as an entertainment and they're taking it purely as a physical form. But I will tell you, people like us who went into these dances 10 years ago or 20 years ago, it was mostly really a spiritual search, nothing less, nothing more.
Yeah. So tell us, Irina, about your experience in India. What was like you were telling us already at the beginning, what was your first encounter with the environment in Kerala? So did you leave Belarus and you went straight to South India? That's how your journey began?
Yes. Actually, I've never been to India, and that was I had lots of fears associated with India. Of course, like I asked some girls from my country who studied by the same scholarship, and none of them said positive things. Most of them wanted to scare me for some reason. That like some would tell about snakes, about heat, about rats in the tap water, and like all kind of things. Like so. I'm a very anxious person. You tell me such things, I immediately like visualize them. So I was going and was thinking, oh my gosh, maybe it's my last day, actually my last year of life. But I was determined to go, yes. So I arrived in Kerala. I didn't arrive in any state of India. I arrived in Kerala itself. And yeah, actually, just for the safety, I booked a really nice hotel near the airport just to take rest, and it was a nice hotel, so like nothing to complain about. But then ICCR people picked me up and dropped me at the local train station that was their welcome. And at that train station, trains come like once in 2-3 hours, and I remember I'm just sitting and I don't know what I'm waiting for, and I'm feeling hungry, and I'm seeing the guys selling samosas and thinking, okay, well, they warned me not to buy street food because, of course, every foreigner has experiences of upset stomach, food poisoning. But I have no other option. I'm coming and buying this samosa and eating. I just almost crying, like feeling so helpless, not knowing where I'm going and how. But then train came and somebody, I don't know even who, somebody took my bag and threw it into the wagon. And I sat near some family, and I remember, like, as I was saying, Malayalis are very, very hospitable people. And of course, they probably saw how scared I am, how anxious I am. So they started talking to me. Their English was not so good. I think father spoke more or less good English, but he tried to kind of, like, it's okay, where do you have to go? And I said, I need to go to Kalamandalam. They said, oh, they knew where's the station. And also they bought this roasted peanuts, which is a common food they sell on the train. and they offered me. My hands were like not washed anything. Now everyone is using sanitizer. At that time, nobody was using. And I'm taking like my first day in India. I already ate some samosa from train station, and now I'm getting some roasted groundnuts. I was just like, okay, I guess this is destiny. If I'm meant to die, that's gonna happen. I can't escape it. So I just ate this roasted peanuts, and then actually they were all the time keeping track so that I don't miss my station, and they help me bring my bags down. And then the Kalamandalam people, then they met me and delivered me to the house, which I pre-rented already at that time. I did some research and managed to find the house owner. Sisa actually also stayed a couple of nights in that house. Yeah. Srinath's house, you remember?
Yeah, right.
Yes. So, and after that, I think 2 days after, I already went to Kalamandalam. But at that time also, I arrived in India in the end of 2013, and I didn't get Indian SIM card in the airport. I didn't know it's an easy option. I was thinking I could get it just on spot, but no, as a foreigner, like if somebody's planning to go to India, like get your SIM card in the airport, because otherwise there are so many formalities. Like I filled some application form, they took my passport, there was 3 days of verification, then 5 days of another verification, then they canceled my application, then I went to another company and did the same process. And then in the end, my landlord got tired of me complaining about it. He went and he got a SIM card with his own ID. So almost for 1.5, 2 weeks, I was without any means of communication. I could just text my parents by SMS, not even have internet, because like roaming internet is insane. And so so that was like very, very crazy. Like the first arrival was like you feel complete isolation, you know, the language you don't understand, you don't know what you can eat, what you cannot eat, you don't know how to behave properly. You heard some rumors from some people, but state to state everything is different. So
and you
like
did it alone. You traveled by yourself, you were not with anybody else. And also, like, I think it has changed with the years, and now it's more common to see other girls traveling by themselves. But I kind of, my first time in India was in 2013 too, and I did same year. But I was not alone. I used to live in Indonesia for over 2 years. I lived in Bali, and for me Bali was like the safe place, because it was so easy. There were a lot of foreigners living there studying dances, but also just tourists. So it was very easy to go around, and after 2 years you get used to the place. And then after that I just moved to India, and I went with 2 Ecuadorian girls. So we were 3 girls traveling together, and we didn't go straight to India. We went to Nepal first, and then we did some pilgrimage in some places of Buddhism and Hinduism, and then we moved straight to Delhi. And my first experience in India was Delhi. And we and Delhi is a crazy city, and is a very big city, and it has like the old side and the new side. And I stayed in the old city, which is very crazy, very chaotic, and is a big impression because there is a lot of people on the streets. And of course, like the weather, I arrived in the summer, so it was very hot, and that was the first encounter with Delhi. So it was a big shock. That's what India does sometimes. It's like it shocks you. It's like you need some time to process some things and then you start.
Definitely.
And
then you start. It took me almost a year to start getting in, because especially because Kalamandalam is in the rural area. It's not a city, it's a village, and it has village kind of rules and village expectations as well. So there are lots of codes of conduct, and some things are non-verbal. You need to understand them intuitively. Yes.
So Irina, let me read some comments from our friends. I will turn on the comments again. I was just trying. I'm experimenting with Instagram. So we have a friend, and his name is Sukes, and he says, I hope you enjoyed in Kerala. Even I feel always safe here. Well, That's the comment from Sukes. And then we have another question from Premium. And it says, how do you see the place of dance in a transmedia culture? Dance collaborations with film, theater, etc. So would you like to answer that question, Irina?
The first or the second, or both?
Both. Let's answer
Both,
both.
yes. Well, about Kerala being safe, yes, mostly it's true. It is safe, and it's safe for sole female travelers as well. Of course, I cannot say that I did not experience harassment. I experience harassment almost all the time. Like men, I'm sorry, Malayali men, but very often men do misbehave with us. And I don't know where they get this kind of feeling that they can go to a certain extent. Because, you know, sometimes I think we as foreigners, we just maybe sometimes smile too much, or like we talk in a very open way, like friendly. And they read this friendly as, oh, maybe she's ready for something more. And then like some kind of harassment starts. So this way, yes, there is kind of stress involved in being a sole female traveler in Kerala, even though it is safe. Like there are very few actual assaults where like the girls would get raped, but they happen, but there are very few. But this kind of harassment, and when people don't respect your boundaries, this happens a lot. And my advice to sole female travelers who go to Kerala, just to be very kind of assertive about saying like no, being very strict, and sometimes not even being afraid to shout. I guess that's the only way to deal with that. And about how do I see dance in transmedia culture, right? The
Right.
films. Well, that's a very good question. And because, first of all, before we answer this question, we need to define what is dance. And dance can be defined from a classical point of view, where we have certain dance forms and we have certain rules about certain movements, certain rhythms. If we talk about Indian classical dance, yes, there are certain rules and you navigate within these rules. You dance in a certain way. But I see dance in a much broader sense. I see it as anything can be dance, you know. Even you move your hand, it's already a dance. You stay still, and in your stillness you can find the dance. You can move just your eyes, it's already a dance. So dance is a presentation of your body in space. This is my understanding of dance. And in this understanding, dance is applicable to anything, to photography, to even I had a couple of experiences of modeling, and I would say that feeling myself as a dancer and as a model was really, really helpful. It created some liveliness. It created non-artificiality in the photographic art. Same in films. Well, if we talk about Indian films, of course, dance is inseparable from maybe 70% of the films released in India, because they have dance items there. But even if we abstract from Bollywood and we go into experimental cinema, there is a lot involved with body movement, and it's kind of body-oriented cinema. Even in the West, we see filmmakers experimenting with the way certain gait, let's say, or certain posture. Like, okay, let's even talk about the recent films, like let's say Joker. I think everybody remembers the dance that our protagonist did, like this kind of psychotic dance. So dance is a very powerful medium of expression of emotion, of the situation, and hence it has a very big applicability everywhere. So
Yeah, and also like for those who are connecting right now, that they are sending their greetings. We are just here with a guest. So this is part of the live talks that we are organizing with the Dance Road Project, and I have a guest here from Belarus, but she's in India right now. She's an Indian classical dancer, and we are sharing the experiences of learning these complicated art forms, especially for us that we come from different cultures. And so we have some friends saying hi from Turkey. There is another friend saying hi from Java, Indonesia, and my followers are mostly in these places, not really in Ecuador. And
I see somebody says they're my neighbors. I'm sorry.
oh, wow.
I can't read from this small picture.
Yeah, it's kind
Sharif,
of small, but guys, you just
you're my neighbor.
leave your
Okay,
comments.
maybe.
Leave your comments and leave your questions, so and we will read. We will try to read them.
Yes,
This is
yes.
an hour.
You know, actually, I have a very bad facial recognition skills. You know, I'm really bad physiognomist, and in my country as well, I need to meet a person at least 2-3 times before I can recognize faces. Like, okay, this is this person. But in Kerala, just because, like for Kerala people, we foreigners, we look the same. Honestly, I had an experience of people confusing me with girls, which I think I don't look anything like these girls, but they confuse me with them. So the same for us a little bit. Some Indian faces look kind of similar. So I'm sorry, my neighbor, if I didn't recognize you. I have problem recognizing
So,
people.
Irina,
Yeah.
let's jump into. I would like to know more about the type of dance that you learn in India. So let's give some information to our.
Yes.
Oops. Okay. Yeah.
Something happened.
So
Yeah.
let's just like give them a brief idea of what is the Indian classical dance, and specifically the type of dance that you are learning and that you are performing already. You have learned for many years already, like 5-6 years is a lot of time to live in a country. So tell us about what is Indian classical dance? How can you define that?
Well, you can't define, I think, Indian classical dance in general, but Sangeet Natak Academy has its own definition of Indian classical dance, with which I would not agree. In general, one of the requirements for an art form to be considered as classical in Indian art forms is that it has to follow Natya Shastra. Natya Shastra is a theatrical treatise which talks about theatrical performing arts, which talks basically about the stage arrangements, about the performances, but in a very mythological way. But also it gives specific requirements for the actor, for the dancer. So that is Sangeet Natak's Academy's requirement, and because of that, they selected 7 or 8 Indian classical dances, from which there are Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Odissi, Satriya, right? Then what else? Mohiniyattam, Kathakali.
Manipuri is also part of the 8, I think.
Manipuri. Yeah. Yes, 8. But I think personally that the idea of Natya Shastra is a little bit limiting, because it's not necessarily that the dance has to be linked to that, but because of this requirement, many representatives of the art form tried to link it, and sometimes these links are a bit of artificial. And I was reading the new research done in Bharatanatyam and Mohiniyattam, and the new researchers say there are no direct links anymore to Natya Shastra. No, of course, it emerged somewhere from there, but it went under so much transformation, and because each historical era influenced the dance in its own way, because dance is not something static. Even though we talk about traditional art forms, it's not something that was developed 2000 years ago, which we think is the age of Indian classical dance, especially South Indian dances like Bharatanatyam and maybe Mohiniyattam as well. It's not. It's been changing with each ruler, with each social situation, with each historical situation. The changes have been occurring. And so it's a life substance. And we can't definitely say that there's been like 2000 years of oral tradition, which has never been changed and modified. No, there have been many changes, many modifications, and many communities involved in dancing these dances. And they had their own personal vision and interpretation, which they translated through this dance. Like, let's say, for example, the community of Devadasis, right? Now it's actually believed it's not a correct term to call the temple and court dancers. It's better to name exactly which communities were involved in these dances. But at that time, it was a generic term, Devadasi, the servant of the god. Deva means god, Dasi is servant. So the girls who were attached to temples, sometimes to courts, and they would perform ritualistic dancing. So Indian classical dances, most of them, in and I think Sisa, I don't know, Sisa is loading somewhere there.
Oh, it looks like Irina's connection is...
You're here, you're here.
is
yes, some connection, right? Yes, so the question was also which dance I'm learning from these classical art forms. I'm learning Mohiniyattam. I came to learn Bharatanatyam, and actually I spent 3 years learning Bharatanatyam, and I had my Rangetram in Bharatanatyam. But then I switched to Mohiniyattam, and this is a dance form specific to Kerala, and it's a very lovely art form. If somebody knows a little bit about Indian classical dances, for example, people from Indonesia, most probably you would recognize Mohiniyattam by white sari, white dress with golden border, and the bun is on the side. So there is a side bun. And lots of smiling and lots of swaying. It has very kind of sensual movements. So the girls are most of the time delivering the Shringara, the rasa of love, erotics. And so the whole concept of dance is this kind of exaggerated femininity with the touch of eroticism. So this dance form I've been learning. I switched from Bharatanatyam to Mohiniyattam, and it's been my art form ever since. Sisa, we can't hear you. I think something happened. Technical issues. Stay with us. Actually, it's crazy. Technology, no, we can't hear you. At least I can't hear. Maybe other people can hear. Can somebody comment if you can hear Sisa? Anybody can hear Sisa? Sisa is the girl above me. I don't sound. No, they don't hear Sisa. They don't hear. No. I should exit and come back. No. No sound. I'll restart.